So today I'm going to do something a little bit different than my usual shtick. So if you just tune in for my goofiness, you might want to turn it off now. But if not, stick on in and here we go. So most people are taught to revere Abraham Lincoln. And well, I think that's one of the worst misconceptions of any of our presidents, because Lincoln was our really first tyrannical president that we had. After Lincoln was elected, South Carolina seceded, and Lincoln was fine with this as long as the United States was still allowed to collect the tariff in Charleston. It was really the collection of the tariff that was the major issue. It's why the Union Army refused to leave Fort Sumter, because it gave them a strategic position over the harbor. And that's why South Carolina, of course, couldn't let the Union keep the harbor, because as long as the Union had Fort Sumter, then they could control the port of Charleston, and South Carolina really couldn't allow this. So they attacked the fort, and that's what started the war. So why do I say Lincoln is a tyrant? Well, in addition to starting this war over the tariff, Lincoln had no respect for individual rights. When the Maryland legislature scheduled a meeting to decide whether or not they were going to secede, and it looked like that they were probably going to secede, Lincoln declared martial law and imprisoned the legislatures. Newspapers in the area, in Baltimore and some other cities in the Northeast, well, they printed some negative articles about Lincoln's disrespect for habeas corpus and that kind of thing, and he shut down the papers and imprisoned the newsmen, suspended the writ of habeas corpus so he didn't have to give them a trial. And well, if you disagree with Lincoln and you were public about it, there was a good chance that you were going to go to jail. A lot of people lived in this fear throughout his presidency. So Lincoln believed that the Constitution was a binding contract that no one state could get out of without all the other states saying it was okay, which of course is not how it was intended at all. If you read the writings of Jefferson or Madison or the Federalist Papers, a lot of the Founding Fathers believed that, well, eventually the United States would probably split up into several smaller countries, which is of course what the southern states tried to do before the Civil War. Probably all you can hear now is wind. Of course, this legacy of not wanting to let countries split up has really hurt us over the years, as you can see most recently in Iraq, where after we got rid of Saddam Hussein, which was, of course, I think everyone can agree, a good thing, the United States took up the policy position that Iraq was not allowed to split up. So in the north of Iraq, you've got the Kurds, who live in the mountains and have one way of life. In the south, there's the Shiites, who have a different way of life. And then in the middle, there's the Sunnis, who are used to ruling everybody. And, well, they all would have liked to have their own little countries so they could, do their own different things. But we said, no, you're not going to allow that. So what we've created there is a real civil war, where you have these three different groups all trying to dominate the government so that they can protect themselves and exploit the other groups. And so that's Lincoln's legacy right there.